Our economy is stagnant and might not go anywhere for the next 3 years. While most forecasters say things will start to pick up this year because of the Christchurch rebuild, one believes we face more doom and gloom. The principal economist at the NZ Institute of Economic Research, Shamubeel Eaqub, is with us now. Morning to you, Shamubeel. Why are you quite so gloomy about our prospects?
Good morning. I guess it's more than being gloomy, it's being more realistic. The fact of the matter is we're paying down debt and it's going to take us a long time to get out of this. And we have big risks in the global economy and they're not going to be resolved quickly.
But we have already paid down a lot of debt and interest rates are really low. Is that not going to encourage people to start borrowing?
Well, actually, we haven't paid down much debt. That's been the big disappointment, is we've been starting to pay off debt, but we haven't gotten rid of very much at all. So we borrowed for about 15 years. It's going to take us another few years to get us back to more normal levels. And the fact of the matter is, as everybody with a mortgage knows, it's easy to take on the mortgage, but it's hard to pay it off.
So even though we haven't paid down a lot of it, will people not be tempted with these very low interest rates and potentially house prices on the rise?
I don't think so. What we're seeing is lending growth is actually very modest and people are using these very low mortgage rates to pay down debt. And it's a fantastic time to pay it down.
But not a good time really to save at the same time if interest rates are very low.
It's the paradox of thrift, right? You shouldn't be saving when interest rates are low, but the fact of the matter is, this is what we've been waiting for the last 15 years, that New Zealand should be saving more. We're finally doing it despite very low interest rates.
What about Christchurch? Because most economists tell you that the rebuild down there is going to spark up the economy. The Treasury is certainly expecting it to. So why don't you think it will?
You have to be realistic. There are lots of practical issues with getting the rebuild underway in Canterbury. We're still having lots of aftershocks, still big issues with insurance, with building code, and getting the right kind of people to do the work. There will be a lot of work in Canterbury, but it is going to take some time.
So what does it mean for the average household? Obviously, interest rates are going to stay low. That's potentially a good thing, but it probably means what? There aren't going to be many jobs around.
Yeah, I think it's really a case of being, quite drearily similar to the last 3 years. We're not going to have a lot of new jobs. Income growth isn't going to be much more above living costs. And, things are going to feel kind of okay, but not really improving.
Are we not going to get a bit of a helping hand from the fact that our dollar has been dropping?
Well, it's come off a little bit, so that means for you and me, our cost of buying the LCD TV is going up. It's good news for farmers and exporters, but less so for households.
What does it mean for the government? Because obviously their plan to get back into surplus is based on the fact the economy is going to grow at a certain rate, at 3% in just a couple of years' time.
Yeah, look, if the economy is weaker like we think, then it's going to take them longer to get back to surplus. That's not necessarily a big problem. The big focus should be that the government is being responsible with its spending, getting us back in the right direction. There is no big difference between getting back to surplus, say, in 2015 or 2017.
Is there any bright spot here, Shamubeel?
Well, I think the bright spot is that we are making the adjustment that must happen, and we're preparing ourselves from the impending big increases in retirement. So we are heading in the right direction. This is one of those very necessary bits of adjustment, and it's just not going to feel like fun.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Shamubeel. That is Shamubeel Eaqub, the principal economist at the NZ Institute of Economic Research.